All right, the time has come to get the hydraulic fluid and filters changed for the 400-hour service on the Kubota. Okay, some of the stuff I did in preparation was I wiped off all of these fill areas, so I have those removed to actually help vent air. I laid a piece of cardboard down. I have two drain pans. All right, over here is our fluid that's ready to go. Here on page 80 under the periodic service, it goes over everything you need to do about draining it, the location of your dipstick and your fill plug. All right, they have those labeled quite nicely. Then over here it shows for the 2650, which I have. The 3350 is the same. Drain plugs, 1 and 2 drain plugs. All right, your filters are pretty obvious. There's one on each side of the transmission housing. They kind of all just use the same diagram photo here. So I have the wrenches I assume that I'm going to need for these 2 drain plugs. I also have some rags and a set of gloves, so we're going to go down underneath the tractor and have ourselves a look. All right. Okay, now I'm going to pull this in here just so we have something in case we spill. It makes cleanup a whole lot nicer. All right, it's kind of dark down here, so I'm just going to move this up. All right, I'm going to get gloved up and hopefully, all right, here's some rags. Here's our wrench. Let's give it a bump. All right. There's paint on stuff, so it makes the nuts a little tight because they're still pretty much new, being this is only our 400-hour service. All right, so let's just loosen this thing out. See what kind of a mess we can make. I'm checking for the ring. Most of these drain plugs all have this ring on, and it's just not something you want to lose. So there we go. Not too bad. Actually looks pretty clean. All of the oil that's in here is not going to fit into this container. So what I'm going to do is when this gets about full, I'm going to just reinstall the drain plug to stop the flow. There. Oh. All right, I'm going to pull this out. I'm going to drain this can, and then I'm going to put it back on here and keep draining this fluid. So we actually filled that almost 3 complete times. Now, your other drain plug back here is right on the side. Now these, I'll get this one off. It's the same as that other one, I believe. Instead of it being like a brass fitting deal, it's kind of actually like a metal washer with a rubber O-ring in the middle to, you know, seal the drain plug. So you can see the fluid coming out. I'm just wiping this off a little bit. I was using my hand to keep it from splashing. So we'll get the rest of this drained out. I don't know if it's going to fill this. We just kind of got to wait and see. If you've seen, I don't know if you can see now, I actually have writing on the filters. So even though I do have this also documented on paper, if something would happen and the tractor would be sold or a next owner or somebody, they could at least reference back to this to know when this stuff was changed. Not only that, I could also, if something would happen, I would lose the paperwork. So both filters, I did write that on. I assume, I haven't looked at that one for a little while. Obviously, it was 2019 when this thing had 200-hour service done when you change the filters. So, drain, drain, drain. All right, so we're going to finish draining this. I'm going to get the filters out a little while. I'm going to date those also with our hours and today's date so that we know when they were changed in the hours. Well, this is finishing draining out, and I'll show you the removal of the filters. So this is the one filter. Right there's our part number. Just open this one up. They bag these to actually, which is nice, you know. So there's definitely no moisture has gotten into this filter. All right. And then the other one, let's see. There's our part number in case you need it. Hopefully you can see that. No shadow on there. All right. Gonna open this one up. I don't know why this one wasn't bagged, but they seal the end of this, which is important. So I'm going to get our hours wrote on here and today's date, and then remove these right before I install them. Have our drain plug closed, and we're going to be removing this. Oil does or should come out of this. It's no different than removing an oil filter. So I have an oil filter tool to get this thing off. Let's see here. Hopefully we can give this a turn. Oh, there we go. Right off. So basically when that comes off, I mean, I can look at this and see what the number is. This one says suction filter. All right, so here we go. We have our suction filter. We have to remove this plastic off of the end. We're draining all the fluid, so we kind of just want to let everything drain. Ooh, got a little splashy there. That's no fun. All right. There we go. You can see everything looks pretty nice up in there. There's actually some oil on there. Any filter, you always want to put a little bit here, but there's actually some on there, so I'm just going to install my filter. All right, nice and hand tight, and you can see 395 hours, 323, 21. And then we'll just wipe off any of this excess that's here. This doesn't really hurt anything, but if you do take the time to do this, when you start stuff up and you start functioning with it, you can see if you have a leak anywhere and go back and address that issue. All right, I'm going to move over to the other side and I'm going to get that filter and we'll show you. All right, we now have our second new filter. Everything is drained out. I'm gonna get some of this stuff cleaned up. Here's some of the oil. So we basically filled this thing, man, I think 4 times? 3.5, 4 times. So now that we have that done, we're I'm gonna just lean the seat forward because it gives me better accessibility. I'm gonna use this filter, which I used in the last video, to fill the differential and put it in there, and we're going to work on filling it up a gallon at a time, just because that's going to make it so much easier to dump this in to fill this up. So when we get all this in, we'll check all the fluids, obviously. So we have everything filled back up. I actually used everything I had. I measured it out. I measured it out in the containers here, okay? In there. I shut my book here. I don't know if I got it open the same right page. Here we go. Okay, so it tells you that you basically need 4 gallons, all right? So I basically had this filled. I mean, it's hard to say exactly where a gallon is. When you look at the other ones, they're filled to here, so I tried to fill them around to this area. So I had 3 of them filled to there, and the 4th one was around here. So I'm hoping that I'm really close to the amount of fluid that you need in here. So we're going to check our dipstick. And like I said, these are just like the other ones in the front for the differential. It's really hard to see. If you get this stuff dried off like that and stick it down in, you can see that you want to be in between those 2 marks, round and about. It's actually a little higher than what it needs to be, but with different attachments that I'm going to be putting on here with like the backhoe and the loader, depending on how you have them, fluid goes in and out. It might affect the level, it might not. So I'm going to run a little bit and I'll double check everything. And that's pretty much going to conclude the hydraulic fluid, transmission fluid change. You do just want to make sure that you do get the right stuff. Your Super UDT2, Universal Trans Hydraulic Fluid. So, and yeah, that stuff's cheap. I just figured I'd add that in there. But you got to have the right stuff, man. You want your tractor to work right, that's what you need. So, we now have, where are we at here? Hydraulic fluid and filter, transmission filter, transmission fluid. We have that stuff done. Like I said, I'm going to come back to this. We have a couple things here we want to attack yet, and we're going to do that in another video. So hopefully this one helped. Hopefully the other ones helped. All part of the 400-hour service. Like I said, we got greasing to do. We got brake adjustments to do. A couple other things. We kind of attacked the most important stuff in case we have to do something with the tractor, and then we'll come back and we'll touch up on these other couple small things. But there we go. I mean, no complaints in the 400 hours of service. You know, minor little small stupid things. I need to stop. I don't know. Figured I'd just add that in there. I need to stop. You know, we're showing a little bit of wear here, but that's getting on and off the tractor. Everything, like I said, everything's just working great. Working real great. So, thanks for watching. Look for the next part. We'll knock everything out in that one.